In this video, we're looking at a beautiful fingerstyle arrangement of the dance. So let's jump right into our demo and then we'll move into our tutorial. If you're enjoying this arrangement of the dance, then I would love it if you leave me a comment, and please give this video a thumbs up. If you're interested in downloading the tabs, then head on over to my Patreon page. You'll find the link down below in the video description. This arrangement is for low G tuning, and next in our lesson we'll walk through 3 different sections and how to play them step by step. The first thing that I want to point out is that this arrangement is in 4/4 time. This means that every measure consists of 4 quarter notes. The tempo is 120 beats per minute, so if you set your metronome to 120, then you'll have 4 beats for every measure. Now we're going to walk through how to play 3 different sections of this arrangement, step by step. The first section that we'll walk through is measures 1 through 10. So let's start by looking at measures 1 and 2 at a slow tempo. We're starting measure 1 with our ring finger on the 4th fret of the 4th string. We'll play the open 2nd string, followed by the 4th string, then back to the open 2nd string, and then we'll place our index finger on the 2nd fret of the 2nd string, followed by our middle finger on the 3rd fret, And then we're going to slide from the 3rd fret to the 5th fret. Now this note carries over to the beginning of measure 2, and then we'll go back down to the 3rd fret, and we'll finish measure 2 on the 2nd fret of the 2nd string. And now measures 3 and 4 at a slow tempo. We're starting measure 3 with our index finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. We'll pick strings 4, 3, and 2. And next we have a hammer-on the 2nd string, starting on the 3rd fret and hammering onto the 5th fret. Then we go up to the 7th fret with our pinky, and then back down to the 3rd fret with our index finger. And this note carries through the end of measure 4. And next we have measures 5 and 6. We're starting measure 5 with a beautiful D sus4 chord. For this chord we have our index and middle fingers on the 2nd fret of strings 4 and 3, our ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and our pinky on the 5th fret of the 1st string. So to start measure 5, we'll pick strings 4 down to 1. Then we'll lift up our pinky to play the open 1st string. Then we'll play the 2nd string, and this note carries over to the beginning of measure 6. And then we go back to the open 1st string, and then we finish measure 6 on the 2nd string. And now we have measures 7 and 8. We begin measure 7 with a partial G chord. Here we have our index finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string and our ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Keeping this fingering, we'll pick strings 4 and 2, then we'll pick strings 3, 2, 4, 3, and at the end of measure 7, we're going to place our pinky down on the 3rd fret of the 1st string, lifting up our other 2 fingers. And here we'll pick strings 1 and 2 together. Measure 8 is played the same way as measure 7. And now we have measure 9 through the beginning of measure 10. We begin measure 9 on a G chord. So here we have our index and middle fingers on the 2nd fret of strings 3 and 1, and our ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. We'll pick strings 1, 2, and 3. Then we'll reach up to the 5th fret of the 1st string with our pinky, picking strings 1 and 2 together, then down to the 3rd fret of the 1st string with our ring finger, and then moving into measure 10, we'll form our G chord once again, and here we'll pick all 4 strings. The next section that we'll walk through is the end of measure 26 through measure 34. So let's start with our final note in measure 26 through measure 27. The final note in measure 26 is the 2nd fret of the 1st string. And here I'm using my index finger. As we move into measure 27, we're going to play an arpeggio, or a broken chord, through all 4 strings. And after we play the 1st string, then we're going to hammer onto the 3rd fret using our middle finger. Then we'll pick strings 4, 3, 2, and 4, and we'll finish measure 27 on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string using our index finger. And now measure 28. We begin measure 28 with our ring finger on the 5th fret of the 1st string. Here we'll play an arpeggio through all 4 strings, and after we play the 1st string, then we're going to hammer onto the 7th fret using our pinky. Then we'll go back to the 5th fret, down to the 3rd fret with our middle finger, and then the 2nd fret using our index finger. And now measures 29 and 30. In measure 29, we're forming a D chord. Here we have our index, middle, and ring fingers on the 2nd fret of strings 4, 3, and 2, and we'll play an arpeggio through all 4 strings. Then we'll pick strings 4, 3, 2, 4, and 1 to complete measure 29. Now in measure 30, we'll play the same arpeggio. Then we'll pick the 1st string. Then we'll place our pinky down on the 2nd fret of the 1st string. And we finish measure 30 with a slide from the 2nd to the 3rd fret. And now measures 31 and 32. Measure 31 begins with a B minor chord. Now here we're only playing strings 3, 2, and 1. We have our index, middle, and ring fingers on the 2nd fret of these 3 strings. Now after we play the 1st string, we're going to pull off with our ring finger to the open 1st string. Then we'll play the 3rd string, 2nd string, and then we'll play the open 1st string, hammering back on to the 2nd fret using our ring finger. Now this note carries over to the beginning of measure 32, and then we'll play the open 1st string, lifting up our ring finger, then the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and then the 2nd fret of the 2nd string to finish measure 32. And now measures 33 and 34. We're starting measure 33 with all open strings, playing an arpeggio through the 2nd string. Then we play the open 4th string, open 3rd string, and we finish measure 33 with a pull-off. So here we're going to place our ring finger on the 2nd fret of the 2nd string, and when we pick the string, we'll pull off to the open 2nd string. Then moving into measure 34, we'll play the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, 2nd fret of the 4th string, back to the 3rd string, and we'll finish measure 34 on the 2nd fret of the 1st string. Here we're using our index finger because we're moving into measure 35, which starts the same way as measure 27. For the final section of this lesson, we'll look at the last 2 measures of the arrangement. We're starting measure 59 with our index and middle fingers on the 4th fret of strings 4 and 3, and our pinky on the 7th fret of the 1st string. We'll pick strings 4, 3, and 1, and then we'll do a slide on the 1st string from the 7th fret to the 9th fret. Then we'll go up to the 10th fret, and we're finishing this arrangement with a harmonic on the 2nd string. Now to play this harmonic, we're going to gently touch our index finger on the 2nd string right over the 12th fret. We're going to pick the string with our thumb a few inches behind our index finger, and when we pick the string, we'll immediately lift up our index finger. Here you can experiment with the distance between your thumb and your index finger to find the sweet spot. For more of my fingerstyle arrangements, see this playlist here. Have fun practicing, and thanks for watching.